Hi, welcome to another episode of Shaky Sports Journeys. I'm really excited about today's episode. These two girls are superstars already and big futures ahead. That's the fact that they're still very young. And it's very refreshing to be speaking to two Scottish female cricketers who are household names now. I mean, in my time playing, it wasn't so much. I mean, I knew of the women's game, but what we know now and what we're seeing now is fantastic to see. I welcome the two sisters, Kathryn and Sarah Bryce. How are you, girls?
Good, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
Very well, very well. I was saying to you, Sarah, before we started, whenever anybody asks you how you are or what you're up to, there's not really much you can say right now. It's like, I went for a walk earlier on.
Yeah.
There's really not much going on. I mean, in your life, I'm assuming you're a bit busier. You're down in Loughborough just now?
Yeah, down in Loughborough, so we're lucky that we're still able to train a little bit and get out a little bit more. But yeah, still a lot of walks and to the same canal and back in different directions. But
And I was asking you at the start as well that I thought you would both be in the same accommodation, but you were very quick to tell me that you're in separate accommodation. Is that just to give a bit of space?
Yeah, get a bit of space. We're with each other quite a lot of training, and obviously not too far away. It's only about 5 less minute drive away. So yeah, I think it's good to have a bit of space and kind of also have separate people staying with, like Sarah's still with her course mates and stuff like that. So I think that's good to have that separation from cricket a bit as well.
No, I agree. Me and my sister, I don't think could spend that much time together. So Sarah and Kathryn. So Sarah, you're a keeper batsman, 21 years old, and Kathryn, you're an all-rounder, 23 years old. So very close in age, and obviously bright, long futures ahead. So what I want to do today is I want to take you back to the start. Childhood. I want to talk to you a little bit about your family, a little bit about your background and how cricket came about. So I'll go to you first, Kathryn.
I think it's always kind of been on TV growing up. I remember watching the 2005 Ashes at my grandparents' house. It was just on years ago. That's probably kind of the first memory that I can still remember of watching cricket. And just constantly playing different sports in the garden, being thrown the balls, hitting balls, everything like that. Every sport really. And then we were lucky enough at George Watson's, there was a girls' cricket team there already kind of set up by Liz Smith. So it was pretty much the only school in Edinburgh at that time that had a girls' cricket team. So just kind of got a letter home saying to join this club, and apparently I came home with it still scrunched in my hand saying I've got to go along to this. So yeah, kind of went along to cricket aged about 9-ish, I think, just for some like winter nets, and that's kind of first experience of playing cricket, and yeah, never looked back.
Yeah, never looked back. So was that similar for you, Sarah? Did you both watch the Ashes together? I mean, great, the big Freddie Flintoff was making headlines at that point, but were you the same? Was that the early inspiration?
Yeah, I was probably there watching it. I was only 5 when that happened, so I don't actually really remember it. But yeah, it was still, I remember getting like cuddly toys thrown and taking diving catches across the sofa, and that was just kind of always there around the house. And then when Kathryn started playing in a kind of proper setup, I was just kind of go along with my dad to pick her up and play catch at the side, and then kind of got invited to join in, and that's kind of where it started.
So do your parents have any cricketing interest?
Yeah, Dad played quite a bit at school, I think, and Mum never played, but she watched quite a lot. She grew up in the Lake District, so kind of went to Old Trafford quite a bit as a child.
So that's where it kind of, because it wasn't just by chance, you both took a liking to cricket. Dad would have had it on watching it, and you kind of jumped in and took a liking to it, which is fantastic. So you started at what George Watson's, you said you were 9 at the time. Sarah, I'm assuming, gradually started following suit and came in as well. What was the kind of opportunities like at that point as you kind of got to kind of 11, 12, 13? Where, was there much representative opportunities? Was there much of a league? Did you have many good teams to play against?
We played quite a lot of games against like university teams in Edinburgh or in like St Andrews and stuff as well, because I think a lot of those teams at the time were fairly new people that had kind of come to cricket and started at university. So the standards were fairly similar. So I had some good games against university teams. And as I got into second year actually, of senior school, just kind of got invited along to play with the boys in the summer term rather than doing tennis. So I kind of just started playing with them. There wasn't a massive amount of kind of regional women's cricket at that time for younger people. But I think it was 13 and Sarah was 11. We both got called up to the Scotland under-17s.
Wow.
For the first time, and we kind of didn't really expect that we were going to be doing much, but kind of thrown straight in there. And Sarah was wicket keeping, and I think I was thrown into bat at 3 or something. And I guess when you're at that age, you just kind of get on with it and and go along. But yeah, that was kind of the experience we had getting into it.
11 years old, Sarah, and you're playing with people. I seen a picture. I don't know which one of you it was, but you're with the girl. Is it Rossi?
Was it Ryan?
Yeah, and you're like, she's like high tower, and you're like up to her knee or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember which one of you it was. But was that what it was like early doors? You know, you were a lot smaller than everybody else. How did you, as it feel as an 11-year-old, playing with all these older girls?
Yeah, I think I was quite nervous, but I think that was where it was really good having Kathryn there to kind of someone that I obviously knew and kind of looked after me. But I think all the girls were like really good at, I guess because I was so young, they probably thought I was really cute or whatever and just looked after me. So yeah, I think when you're that age, you don't really know exactly kind of what's going on all the time. You're just going to play cricket and enjoying it. So I think in a way that could have probably made it easier.
And you mentioned you played with the boys. I'm assuming coming through, there will be a lot of times where you've trained with the guys' teams. Has that helped you as well? Build your confidence?
Yeah, I think that's been huge. We've kind of been playing with the boys' teams pretty much since we started, and I still play a little bit of men's cricket when I'm back home with Watsonians, and I think that's made a big difference to kind of our development, because obviously the standard is just better. There's more, or at least there used to be a lot more boys playing cricket, so it was that kind of extra opportunity to more training and more games at that higher level. And obviously they can be quite competitive, but I really enjoyed that and just kind of got stuck in. So yeah, I think that was huge. And huge thanks obviously to all the boys that we've played with and men that we play with now, that they're so accepting of letting us play and bringing us into the team. Yeah. Yeah,
no, that's what I was going to ask. How have you found the guys were with you? I mean, I did a podcast not so long ago. The first girl I ever seen play cricket was a girl called Vary Maxwell, bit older than you girls, but she used to come and play in the festival in the under-15 festival. She got 50s against the boys. Some of the guys didn't like it. They were. You could see that it was a bit like, what's going on here? There's a girl actually playing better than us. How have you found that with the boys?
I think like the boys that I'm on the same team as, I think they're just quite competitive. So anyone that made the team better or did well, they just don't really care as long as you're helping them win games. There's probably a few people they played against that are kind of don't want to get out to a girl, or there's a girl playing on the other team, like this is an easy wicket, and everything like that. But I think gradually as you play against them more regularly, they kind of notice that you're kind of at the same standard as them, and get used to it. But the guys that we played with were fantastic. Just exceptional.
I bet there was a few guys that comment came to bite in the backside when it got said, and I bet it gave you a little bit of satisfaction as well, that you're there and you mean business. So all in all, you mentioned as well, Kathryn, you mentioned tennis. I always ask my guests, did you girls play a lot of other sports?
Yeah, I played a lot of hockey throughout school. Still played it for the first couple of years of uni as well. I always kind of really enjoyed that, just during the winter, kind of the off season, keep fit. Also just kind of being able to play a sport that's competitive but maybe doesn't matter so much. I've always really enjoyed. But yeah, I've always played just kind of every sport that I can at school, in PE and whatever, and play a bit of golf as well. So just love basically every sport that I can play.
Same for you, Kathryn. Just love trying your hand at anything.
Yeah, definitely. Played quite a bit of tennis when we were younger, and then started playing hockey through school. played squash, played golf, just anything really that you can get involved with, we'd be keen to do it.
So would that be advice you would give to youngsters coming through? Try your hand at whatever you want, and you never know what you'll really stick with.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's so many transferable skills between all the different sports as well, hand-eye coordination, general fitness, whatever it is, and just enjoying it. And I think that's really important, that, you don't specialize too young, but you just enjoy playing sport and see kind of what happens and what you maybe happen to be good at and want to take more seriously later on.
Mum and dad, massive support to both you girls. Obviously, dad must be super proud. Both his girls have chosen to take down, make careers in cricket. But yeah, just a bit on your parents and their influence.
Yeah, huge, really. They still, if they can, try and come to every game. And I think it was a bit strange last year when we were playing. Luckily, the games are live streamed, but not being able to come and watch us. So even when we've been away, they'd come and travel and support. And yeah, they'd always be willing to kind of take us to any extra training sessions anywhere it was. So probably really got the miles up in the car, that's for sure. But yeah, just to have them there and supporting, I think really helps kind of through that first stage. But yeah, Mum always says the last thing she expected when she had two girls was to be cleaning whites every week.
I bet. And Sarah, like, the good thing would have probably been that you were getting taken to the same venue a lot of the time, which I'm assuming made things a little bit easier for your parents, but just a bit from yourself as well and your parents and their influence.
Yeah, they've been absolutely brilliant. Like, always supported us, always taking us to all the games, like Kathryn said. And if we have been in separate areas, they'd take one of us each and they'd swap over each week so that they weren't favoritizing it, either of us. But yeah, no, they've been absolutely brilliant, always there for us.
No, that's awesome. I could tell from stuff I've seen online that your mum and dad have had a lot of influence. Seen some pictures and stuff as well. They always seem to be around the tournaments and stuff. So that's really awesome to hear. I want to touch on some of the old guard. Some of the women cricketers that I would have known when in my playing times, and that was the likes of Carrie Anderson, who I believe is now out in New Zealand coaching, and then more recently as well, Abby Aitken, who was captain for Scotland for a while. What kind of influence have these girls had on you?
I think Carrie is just basically see her as like she is Scottish women's cricket, really. She was kind of around from the start, and I think has made a huge impact on the women's game. I think there was one point where she was head coach of the women's team and doing all the grassroots stuff and inspiring girls to kind of take up cricket. So kind of the dedication that she put in to developing the game in Scotland was absolutely huge, and always kind of fighting for the women's team as well within the organisation. So yeah, having someone like her, I think has made a massive difference. And then like playing alongside her as well, just to see the fight that she has to compete when she's playing as well was incredible.
Paved the way for the likes of you to come through, Sarah. You must be thankful to the girls like that what they've done for Scottish cricket.
Yeah, hugely thankful. Obviously, I think the women's team first got set up in 2000, so the fact that it's come so far in 20 years is really cool. And it wouldn't have happened without all those players before us kind of paving the way, like you say. And yeah, I feel extremely lucky to have played alongside the likes of Carrie and being able to kind of learn off her firsthand. She just has so much cricket knowledge and she's always willing to share it. So yeah, it's absolutely brilliant.
Oh, awesome. So around 2015 is when you girls get your first real exposure playing in a big global tournament. Thailand, of all places. What was it like going out there? I mean, you would have been both still teenagers at the time.
Yeah, it was a real experience. It was the first proper, we'd been to Dubai a few years ago as like a development tour. It was sort of an under-21s team, but it was kind of the first proper international tour that we'd been on. And also, obviously, I think it was the first global tournament that Scotland women had been part of. So it was really exciting. And again, just loved the opportunity to kind of get out there, and playing on different pitches as well was a new experience.
So what are the decks like in Thailand?
They're a bit slower. I think the outfields were pretty thick. The grass there, I think I remember.
Plenty of quick singles in.
As well.
Yeah, lots of running, too much running in it's hot as well.
Heat as well, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first training session. I think there was quite a few people that were not feeling great after that. After
being Scottish and all, it's not something we're too accustomed to. Plenty of water.
Yeah.
Plenty of water, I'm imagining. Plenty of water.
Sun cream was out.
I'm not good at the sun.
Listen, I'm lucky that I've got a bit of complexion, but I've played with some boys over the years, my fellow Scottish teammates, and I can imagine what you girls were like as well. There was a few prawns in the morning, with that sun beating down, and the days that people forgot to top up on the sun cream. God, I've seen some people suffering at the back end of the day. But again, great culture experience for you. Great to be out there. How did you do in the tournament? How did you both do personally?
Yeah, I only really played in a couple of games, but didn't do too badly, kept wicket. But as a team, we came fourth, I believe, which was a pretty good achievement for us. I think we didn't really know what to expect going into it, because it was the first global tournament that Scotland women had played in since 2008. So yeah, we didn't really know where we would sit. So I think we were pretty pleased with coming fourth in the end. No,
brilliant. So by having that experience going into 2017 World Cup qualifiers, you've got that experience behind your belt now. You must have been more confident going in. And talk to me a little bit about that tournament.
Yeah, definitely, like a couple of years more experience. Definitely knew how to deal with the heat a little bit better and hydrating yourself. But yeah, no, that was a really good big tournament, because that one also had the likes of South Africa and Pakistan. Were also in that tournament, because it was 50 over instead of T20. So,
yep.
And yeah, it was just a great experience. I didn't actually have a great tournament that time. I couldn't score a run to save my life.
Happens.
But yeah, so it was actually quite a tricky time cricketing wise, but I just absolutely loved being out there, and it's still really special that we get to go to those kind of places and to play cricket. It was pretty cool.
Just on that, when you mentioned there, not scoring many runs, what got you through those times? Because I know from a previous experience as well, you go through stages in your career, and you girls are going to go through stages in your career. I mean, you've just had a really purple patch, but there will be times where it just might not be coming out the middle, and you get a low score. How do you mentally process that and deal with the challenge of that?
Yeah, it was pretty difficult at the time. I remember just training more and more and more, and trying to work out that way. But I was then feeling good in the nets, and then I'd go out and nick off first ball or whatever. It just wasn't working, and it was extremely frustrating. But I think it was just kind of relying on those people around you who just kept reminding you that you've done it before, it will happen again, you just got to stick at it. And then eventually, because I was opening the batting at the time, and I moved down the order, started batting 3 or 4 or something, so wasn't facing the new ball as much anymore. And gradually I started to get a few 20s and then a few 30s, and then the confidence started to come back a little bit. And then I remember playing, it was actually a third 11 game for Watsonians the day after I'd prize giving left school on an artificial pitch, and I scored 50, so it probably wasn't the best standard or anything like that, but it's actually getting to
gave you that boost.
Yeah, it just really gave me a lot of confidence, and then from there it just started to come back, and gradually started to remember what it felt like to score runs again, and then thankfully started scoring a few more.
Well, listen, the next couple of tournaments, I mean, we didn't touch on your then. How was the 2017 tournament for you, Kathryn?
It was okay. I think bowling wise it was pretty good. We're just kind of getting more established in the team. Batting wise, it was okay again. It was quite tricky. We'd had a good run up to the tournament, so the European qualifiers that we played in against the Netherlands. I think we beat them 3-0 in that series, and I think that was one of the first times that we've been a really strong squad together, kind of lots of people making contributions and stuff like that. So kind of going into the competition, we were feeling pretty good. Like Sarah said, with it being only an 8-team World Cup, there was quite a few high ranked opposition. So I just remember we played South Africa, and like some of the great players like Gazelle Lee, Marzan Kapp, and all those were playing for them. And we struggled with the bat a little bit, but Carrie ground out like a really tough 50 to kind of get us a few runs on the board. And it was just really exciting. So we managed to get them 4 down or something pretty quickly. Amazingly, I mean, the first ball pretty much from Lizelle Lee went for 6 over mid-off, and I was just like, oh, this is going to be over very quickly. And then Rachel Scholes took an absolute screamer at slip, and just kind of having that buzz against a really good team like that. I think knowing that you've got it in you a little bit, but they had that consistency and the experience down the order to kind of settle them down and get them over the line. But I just remember that being a really memorable match.
Well, rubbing shoulders with the best in the world, it gives you that benchmark of, you must have walked off the pitch that day and thought, right, okay, you know, we're here just now and we know now what we need to put in, because if you don't get that exposure, you're never really going to get the opportunity to get to that level. So did that give you the confidence, you know, getting a wicket, or, you know, getting that, we can't, if we'd maybe got 50 more runs against them, you might have got them in a little bit more trouble?
Yeah, definitely. I think knowing that you can do it and you've got it in you to kind of take the wicket of the best in the world, just kind of really gives you that confidence and that experience to kind of take into training and everything to know what kind of standard you've got to be at to be able to compete.
Awesome. Moving forward, you know, you've girls have had your experience now. You've had like your initiation. You've played on the world stage. You've experienced playing against test playing countries, and you come into the 2018 ICC T20 qualifiers. And Sarah, you put to bed the challenges of before, and you had a standout tournament. You scored 162 runs in 5 matches, and you were named the rising star of the tournament.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of finally put it together in those kind of bigger matches. I think, you know, I'd had decent runs in some of the kind of European qualifiers or in the kind of county games before, but I'd never quite fired kind of on that bigger stage. So to kind of finally start scoring a few more runs when it mattered more was kind of, I think, quite a big turning point for me. So yeah, it was good to kind of have a decent tournament there.
Proud big sister, watching your little sister, you know, really announce herself on the international scene.
Yeah, definitely, because I think I see how hard she works and how much she wants to do it for the team. So I know that she had it in her, and she kind of proved it in so many county games. But actually, to get that opportunity and for all to come together and make it look so comfortable at still such a young age was, really proud.
Yeah, mum and dad must have been absolutely buzzing as well. And obviously, you know, to get named in the ICC Global Development Squad as well, that must have just been a really special achievement and really lifted your confidence to know that, right, I'm here now and I'm going to take it on from here.
Yeah, definitely 100%. And that was actually just such a great kind of squad to be part of as well. We played against some of the teams in the KSL pretty much straight after that tournament, and getting to kind of play alongside people in other teams that you've just been playing against was kind of odd, but it was also, you know, a really nice experience and get to learn off those kind of different cultures and the way they kind of go about their games in a different way. Yeah, it was really good.
So not to be upstaged, moving forward into a future tournament, 2018, which was a big tournament for you, Kathryn, because not only were you a leading player in the squad, but you were getting the pass of the torch from Abby Aitken, who was stepping down as captain, and you were coming in to fill those shoes. Big time, big moment in your career.
Yeah, definitely. It was a real honour to kind of take that over from Abby, but also big shoes to fill. She'd done it for about 8 years, I think, maybe more. Mm-hmm. But I think I was fortunate to still have her in the team and still have that experience with me when I started out. I mean, I captained the Scotland under-17s for about 5 years. 4 or 5 years, so kind of had that experience of captaining a team, and I'd then been vice captain for a couple of years with the women. But I think kind of taking it on was quite a big responsibility, but just kind of knew that I just wanted to perform as well as possible myself to kind of lead that way as captain and just learn as much as possible from the experienced players that still had around me.
Well, you certainly led from the front. You scored 168 runs in 5 matches. taking the captaincy over, you know, that perfect start in the captaincy role, because there's nothing worse when you're captain if you don't perform and you're expecting your teammates to perform. It's a little bit harder, especially as a new captain as well. So that must have really filled you with confidence.
Yeah, definitely. It always helps when you're able to perform, and kind of makes it a bit easier to kind of give people a bit of confidence and say, come with me and you can do it as well. Whereas I think if you're at the bottom, it's difficult to say, oh, it's easy, just go out and bat and score runs, when you can't do it yourself. But yeah, that's kind of always the way that I've wanted to be and carry on as captain. That's the main thing that I try and do is kind of lead by example and perform in kind of all areas of the game.
And how was Abby on the pitch? I mean, she's obviously done this for so long. How did she deal with the transition, and how did you deal with the transition? Because you're obviously used to taking orders from her for the last 8 years, and now you're the one giving the orders. Sometimes it can be, I know you see it in some test teams and some other teams, and you hear it in the media, the passing of the torch is not that easy. Was it a very smooth process?
Yeah, it was pretty smooth, really. She just said that she was going to try and cause as much trouble as possible. Now that she's not captain, she's not in charge of being well behaved.
So she can lead she can lead all the off the field antics now.
She's leading all the young ones astray now. But yeah, no, it was brilliant to have that experience and kind of calm head on her. Just kind of ask any questions that you needed, and to still have her around the team for someone that's kind of been around for such a long time, and to still be part of it. I think it's good for her to kind of take that step back and be able to focus on herself again as well, rather than having to worry about everyone again. She can just really focus on her game.
Something I've noticed with the girls team, you really strike me in a lot of the images I see. Now I've not been to many games. I've not really seen, live you guys playing. I've watched a bit online, but you really strike me as a very tight unit. You know, you really all look like you enjoy each other's company. It really looks like quite a family. Would you is that your feeling, Sarah?
Yeah, I think we get on really well kind of as a team, and we just enjoy playing with each other most of the time. So I think that makes a big difference. You know, when you go out on the pitch, you need to kind of fight for each other and fight with each other. And if you have that trust in each other, it makes such a big difference. So yeah, I think we get on really well, and that makes such a big difference.
So what's a traditional tour like with the Scotland Wildcats? I mean, what kind of stuff do you get up to? I mean, I could tell you plenty of stories from the men's tours, but they're all, I've heard all of them and I know about all of them, but what kind of stuff goes on with the women's team when you're on tour?
What do we do?
In bed by 7 o'clock, lights out, no antics,
nothing else. I think it's difficult sometimes to kind of keep yourself occupied, but lots of tea drinking to keep us going, a few card games. We start playing Monopoly Deal. I think it was in Thailand maybe for the first time that we started doing that, and a few people showed their true colours in their playing card games, just trying to sneakily steal a few extra cards and things like that, but I won't name and shame anyone. But no, I think trying to get out and experience.
What about any buckets of water being put against any doors and chapped in the doors and stuff like that? Do you girls do any of those kind of antics, or does anyone's room ever get completely ransacked and kind of emptied? I mean, these are some of the things that the stupid boys get up to. Do the girls get up to any of these kind of antics?
Not so much, really.
I'm giving some ideas right now. So if any of the girls are watching, team, feel free to knock on the skipper's door next time you're on tour. You leave a bucket of water, you fill it up, you lean it against the door, you knock on the door, and you run, and the rest is history. And you don't say anything to anybody, so just keep that in the down low. I'm only playing, but these are the kind of idiot things that we used to do. So I think maybe you're just sitting on the fence. You don't want to tell me what happens on tour. What happens on tour stays on tour. But so we've got some card sharks. We've got some, but that just sounds like nice camaraderie, to be honest. You're all spending time together. Is that, again, coming back to what you were saying, Sarah, just being around each other's company, enjoying each other's company? It helps when you're on tour.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. It can be quite difficult time, I think, away from home if you don't kind of get along with each other. And you've obviously got your roommate, which makes a big difference. And you know, you often just kind of spend time in either like a team room or hotel lobby or wherever it is, just kind of spending a bit of time with each other, and you know, quizzes and whatever we can come up with really to keep ourselves entertained.
What about rain delays? What do you girls get up to? A bit of bouncy in the end, a bit bouncy in the changing room, bit of test.
Yeah, a bit of one hand, one bounce.
One hand, one bounce.
Yeah, gets quite competitive.
Yeah,
That.
very competitive.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah. It's a good one.
What other kind of things do you girls do in your downtime? Do you like to read? Do you like to what do you like to, I mean, we all, it's important to switch off as well. What do you like doing with yourself when you're away from the game?
Yeah, well, I've played a lot of music and kind of stuff at school, so I still enjoy that a lot, especially when I'm back home. I really enjoy like playing the piano and all that kind of stuff. At uni, I don't have a piano here, obviously, so I've got kind of a wee ukulele that I've got in my room that
Nice.
I'm teaching myself a little bit. So yeah, I quite enjoy doing kind of different musical things to kind of completely switch off from cricket and sport and do something a bit different.
Kathryn?
Yeah, similar. Probably go out, play a bit of golf. Probably should be doing more studying, but it's fine. We're still here. But yeah, play a bit of music and stuff with Sarah. Yeah, fortunate to be able to done that. I think got quite a few musical fans in the group as well. So listening to a lot of different music and stuff as well, which is good fun. Just singing along to all of that.
Yeah, no, good. It's important to switch off because when you're at tournaments and you're training and everything, it gets quite intense. It really is important to switch off as well. So girls, just in recent times, you've made big news. You were both up for nomination for the Women's Associate Cricketer of the Decade. What was it like, first of all, being nominated?
Yeah, really special. I remember it when it first came out. It wasn't the ICC tweet that we first saw it through, so we weren't really sure whether this was like a legit thing or whether it was like fake, and then it became apparent that it was an actual thing, and it's just a real honor to kind of even kind of be thought about and nominated. So yeah, just a big honor really. What were
your expectations? I mean, once you got nominated, was there any banter at home of could little sister top big sister?
I think it was more the difficulty for mum and dad. It was like, who's going to vote for who? We need to vote for one each, and honestly, all of that.
That's a good way to do it. I think that's a good way to do it. Or because that could have went pear shaped, so that was very smart by mum and dad.
Yeah, definitely. But like a little bit of banter, but not too much. I think just really proud of each other. I think for kind of the performances they put in over the last wee while. And yeah, just I think for Cricket Scotland in general, getting so many nominations across the men's team as well, just kind of the recognition for Cricket Scotland in the hard work they've kind of put in over the last 10 or so years.
Well, listen, I think you're both coming across very humble, but I mean, to have two sisters from the same household nominated for such a prestige award is really fantastic, and I think you're fantastic role models for all girls in any form of sport. But it's great to have two Scottish girls who are waving the flag, and I'm sure there's a lot of girls out there now that are looking at you two and thinking, wow, they're really making inroads in their cricket. They're really getting recognised. Because again, I'll go back and say, it's sad, I guess, for the likes of Carrie Anderson, because great cricketer, but the opportunities were not around that maybe you girls have now.
Yeah, 100%. I just kind of remember growing up and speaking to my friends at school, and they're like, do you want to like do cricket as a career? And I was always like, oh no, it's not really possible. The only way to do that is playing for England or Australia or whatever. And it was just never a thing. I was just playing because I enjoyed it, whereas now it has become a career. And I think now that young people can look at it and see that right from the start, will hopefully encourage more people to kind of play or not give it up so early for other sports. And that's really exciting to see that kind of progression that's happened.
So Kathryn, Women's Associate Cricketer of the Decade, along with Kyle Coetzer, being the Men's Associate Cricketer of the Decade. Obviously, there was a couple of, like you mentioned, Callum and Richie were up for nomination as well. How did you feel how did you get given the news?
Just got a call from Paul Macari basically saying, "Oh, you, just to let you know, it's not going to be announced yet, but you have got the award and expect a package to come through the door at some point, and just take a video and look surprised when you open it, sort of thing." But yeah, it's just a real honor to kind of find out. And then the prize that we got, it was like it'd been a commissioned like piece of artwork of us, a picture of us. So I wasn't really sure what to expect when I was told that a piece of art was going to be coming. I thought it might be something a bit random, but yeah, it's actually pretty cool in the end. But yeah, just a fantastic honor.
And what were the celebrations like in the Bryce household?
Yeah, not too wild, given when we were in lockdown at the time. But it was kind of around Christmas time, so just had a few drinks to celebrate, and like kind of the nomination and everything as well. And I'm sure Dad will be sending out. We've got a few prints along with it, so I'm sure he'll be sending them out to a few different people.
Well, listen, I mean, it's definitely a party that when things get back to normal, I think there should be a big celebration in honour of what you and Kyle have achieved, and I hope Cricket Scotland do something, because I think it's really wonderful to see that both of you have been given that recognition. And I think your goal now should be, Sarah, to get your hand on that award next time round.
Next decade, yeah.
So you're young enough to fight for that. So that's a good goal for you, I think, to get that, because that would be awesome to have Mum and Dad to have both awards up in the house of both girls achieving that. So you go for it. More now, moving away from Scottish cricket, you've obviously been where I've been seeing online, with the Lightning team. You girls have just been churning out the hundreds and making the headlines regularly. And I think what looks really cool is seeing you both together, two sisters, making a big bit of noise down south. How's that setup been for you, and how much has that progressed your cricket?
Yeah, it's been huge. I think we both come to Loughborough University, and the setup here's been pretty good for quite a few years now. A lot of the England girls, I think, are alumni of Loughborough University, and the Sally Ann Briggs set up the MCCU, I think, and did a lot of work with that. She'd left by the time I arrived, but Rob Taylor's kind of took over, and the facilities that they have here, obviously with the National Cricket Performance Centre, and the kind of gyms and power base and everything, because obviously there's a lot of sport here, has made such a big difference, I think, since coming here, because it's really, since we've been at uni, we've been training almost in a professional
just on your doorstep. It's just on your doorstep. You've got access to it all the time, really.
Yeah, you're always, pre-COVID anyway, you were able to just book a lane whenever you wanted, really, and go and have an extra hit. So kind of being able to have that professional environment without being professional has made such a big difference, I think, over the last few years.
Must be really handy for both of you that you're never sure. I mean, you've always just got each other a knock away. Listen, I need to have a hit, or I would like to work on this or work on that. Must be really handy to have all the way through your career to have each other as sisters to help out. Yeah,
definitely. I think because we've grown up together and played a lot of games and played a lot of cricket together, we know each other really well. So if you're struggling, just to kind of have that person there that kind of knows what you're going through or what you need to kind of get back to your best is really, really helpful. And yeah, like someone to bowl at or to give you throws and anything like that you need, it's always great to have.
The mix of studies along with your cricket career, I think times have changed now. There's a lot more emphasis put on making sure that you've got that opportunity as well. And I think from what I hear and see, the counties are quite supportive of it as well. How have you found juggling your studies and playing cricket at such a high level?
Yeah, I think it's kind of really important to kind of have that background, because I think obviously cricket, I hope it lasts for a while, but you never know what's going to happen. So I think it's always good to have that as kind of a bit of a backup. And the union, kind of everyone's been really good at kind of supporting you through that. If you need help with balancing time, whatever, they kind of give you that, or if you need to miss a few training sessions for whatever reason, they're really accommodating of that, and that's really helpful to make it kind of make it work. And because I think they understand the importance of it, they're willing to kind of help you through it.
What are you both studying? I think one of you is doing sports science or one is doing maths, or are you both doing sports science?
Yeah, I'm doing maths and Kathryn's doing sports science.
So Sarah's quite brainy then.
Brains, yeah. Yeah, and works hard.
Yeah, maths. I can't imagine that's very easy. Well, it comes to you naturally. So am I right in saying then that Kathryn doesn't enjoy the studying element as much, and Sarah, it comes to you a bit more naturally?
Yeah, I think that
definitely.
sums it up pretty well. Kathryn's
Yeah.
always
So
taking
do
a
you
bit
need to
of
rein her in? Do you need to rein her in a little bit and just let her know that you should really be in your room doing some studies rather than hitting a golf ball or going out for a stroll?
Yeah, she doesn't really listen though. She's very chill, so she's like, "Oh, it's fine. I'll do it tomorrow." And then tomorrow,
And
I'll do it tomorrow.
I'd imagine Kathryn is always kind of, come on, you've done enough now. Let's go and do something else.
You'll be fine. Yeah, definitely.
You'll pass anyway.
Yeah.
Why? I can imagine she says to you quite often, "Why do you study so much? You're going to pass anyway."
Yeah, and I think because I've always been younger as well, her exams have always seemed more important. So she's always like, "Oh, they're just SB exams. They don't really matter. Oh, it's only your national vibe. It doesn't really matter. It's only your first year exams. It doesn't matter." So yeah.
Again, though, it's good that you've got each other to support each other, because it's really powerful. And I think the fact that you're studying together, you're playing sport together, you really are very blessed to have each other. And I think you must be really a big influence on that Scotland team as sisters. I think a lot of the players they can all look up to, even girls coming through in the system now. I've noticed you've done a session with some young kids from a few setups. Is that something you're always open to being involved in? I think it's really important.
Yeah, definitely. I think you don't realise until you kind of get the feedback from them how important it is to be there. I mean, you never see yourself as someone they probably be looking up to, but when you go along to the sessions and they kind of know a bit about you and they kind of ask you some questions about that, then you kind of like have a think about it and actually go like, I have made a difference and someone is looking up to me. So that kind of inspires you to kind of keep giving back and just keep being a role model to them, and actually kind of going along to a session and not necessarily doing a massive amount, but just kind of being there and giving them a bit of support and advice actually means a lot to them.
You're always quite open to that, Sarah. I mean, it's really just your time, isn't it? You're really just giving up your time there, and you might make a difference to some young girls' future and her career.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I was lucky growing up to have people that were always kind of supporting us and came along and gave up their time for us. So I think it's only right that we then give back to the game and hopefully help continue its development as well.
So the 100 has just been announced, and both of you have secured contracts, and you've got your teams. But it was really cool as well, and I'm actually going to be speaking to her quite soon as well. One of your teammates, Abtaha Maksud, who's also been given an opportunity to play. You must be thrilled to bits about that.
Yeah, absolutely delighted. I remember when she first messaged me, and yeah, just absolutely so like happy for her. She's been my roomie since we started playing.
You two are tight then.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm just so proud of her. You know, she works so hard and she always underestimates herself and didn't think she'd have any chance of getting a contract. So just like so pleased for her. She's just so happy, and I know she'll make the most of the opportunity. So yeah.
Just on that front, I mean, I come from a Muslim background. Abta is obviously a Muslim as well. She wears the hijab, the headscarf. I think it's just awesome how inclusive that you guys as a team have been. I think there's another girl as well that plays in the Scotland team who also is from a Muslim background and wears the scarf. It just strikes me again that, you know, it's a very easy side to come into. And as you as captain, is that something that you thrive, that you want your team to be really welcoming?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's fantastic to have Abta and Ikra as role models, because I think Ikra spoke a bit about kind of being quite self-conscious, wearing the hijab and playing sports was quite often frowned upon for her. So I think it's brilliant to kind of have them as role models for other girls, to kind of look and say, I can do that as well. And we've learned so much from them as well, and their background. And Mr. Maksud's famous, what is it, Sarah? His naan bread.
His naan bread.
Like famous around the team. That is definitely. But yeah, I think Abta is just massively grown and in confidence in the last few years. So kind of having that opportunity for hopefully more of the girls to kind of get the opportunity and gain that experience will hopefully really help her develop and just spread the game as wide as possible.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, it's kind of an untapped source there, because as we all know, the subcontinent background of cricket, I mean, you go down to most cricket sports clubs in Scotland, there's a lot of young Asian boys playing cricket there. But what you touched on is very true, and what Ikra has said, that it's kind of like the upbringing and the older generations would never see it as a girl should not be down at a sports club playing cricket, and it's completely wrong. I mean, these girls are they're covered up, they're comfortable, and you guys are welcoming to it. So there's no reason why we can't see more girls from a Muslim background or other ethnicities come into the sport, because it's only going to benefit Scottish cricket in the long run.
Yeah, 100%. And I think they've both shown that it doesn't get in the way at all. There's absolutely no reason why they shouldn't be playing cricket, and that they can't play it to a high level as well. So yeah, it's just absolutely brilliant that those two are there and such great role models for everyone. So
girls, what's the future hold then? What are your goals? What are you looking? I mean, obviously big competition coming up with 100. What does the future hold for the two of you and the Scotland team as well?
I think getting to a World Cup would be huge. Hopefully, kind of these qualifiers at the end of the summer, and then there'll be the global qualifiers again next year. I think, getting to a World Cup would be massive and open doors for so many people in Scotland. I think it showed having Thailand kind of get to the World Cup last year, just really kind of spread cricket so much, and kind of the opportunities that a couple of their girls got from that globally cricket wise, I think would be huge just for the exposure of the game in Scotland and for people to kind of see it. There's also the Commonwealth Games next summer, I want to say. So there's qualifiers for that at some point as well, so that would be a massive thing as well, because I think there's quite often a lot of different people that watch kind of like things like the Olympics and the Commonwealth Games. Like I've definitely watched some sports that you'd never really think of watching, but because they're all on and you're just kind of supporting Team Scotland or whatever, you just kind of flick over and watch that channel. So that would be huge, I think, as well.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing now missing for you girls to tick off, and the rest of the girls in Scotland squad. You've kind of had that, 10 years plus now of building the structure. And I think that really could take Scottish women's cricket to the next level, Sarah, if you were to qualify for a World Cup. Yeah,
100%. I think that's our main big goal. And I think it has been for the last kind of few years. And we keep just coming up a little bit short and falling at that last hurdle. And, a few times we've had kind of come fourth, like third or fourth in qualifiers, and just not being able to quite do it and get that spot for the World Cup. And then in 2019 we had a little bit of a disappointing year, if we're honest with ourselves. So it's definitely something that we're really striving for, and I think it will just be a massive turning point for Scottish women's cricket. So hopefully we can do that sooner rather than later.
It just sounds more like a mental thing. It just sounds like you've got the ability, the talent's all there. It's just a matter of, I mean, we're traditionally known for just falling short. So you girls have shown in recent times on the cricket field that you're there to mean business. I mean, a lot of the English players must have noticed you girls now. You're obviously in their setup as well, so you're making noise down there. And I would love to see. I mean, I really think if the women's team make a World Cup, then that would be a big door to open and attract so many more girls. And then to have the likes of you girls as sisters, your Abtaha with her hijab on, playing in the world stage. How many other girls are going to see that? How many parents will see that and think, should we be restricting our daughters from playing? Should we be encouraging it? And then hopefully you'll see a lot more girls down playing. Somebody I want to just give a big thank you to at the end of this podcast is Sue Strachan, who I think is, I had a podcast with her, big fan of hers. I think she's just got such a great attitude, and she's so passionate about growing the game, obviously so passionate about you girls. She must be a big influence and a big supporter of you girls.
Yeah, it's been huge for the women's game. I think just her enthusiasm and in everything that she does. She goes out there and she'll voice her opinion and tell people do things and actually get it done rather than just sitting in the background with ideas. She goes out there and tries to make a real difference, and to have someone like that backing you in your corner, I think it's huge for the sport. And now as president of Cricket Scotland, hopefully she'll be able to have a big impact from inside as well.
Well, it's a bit of a shame that she got the gig and COVID set in, and it's kind of slowed down the process for her. But even, you know, I see her online. She's so passionate about it. She supports everybody. She's been very supportive to me. She kindly gave me an introduction to you two girls. You know, some people who say, "Yeah, I'll sort that out for you," and they never do. Some people, you know, it's their prerogative. I mentioned it to her one time, and a WhatsApp group was started, and I was in the chat with you, and we got this set up. So that just shows me what kind of person she is. Like you say, she has a can-do attitude, and I hope she's involved for a long time to come, because she's really awesome. So thank you, Sue, for making this podcast happen. Really appreciate that. Girls, any final bits of advice that you would give to a young Sarah or a young Kathryn Bryce, a young 11-year-old girl or 12-year-old girl? What would you say to them, striving to maybe play cricket down the line?
I think you just keep enjoying it. Always remember why you started playing. I think that's the most important thing, that you enjoy it, and, you know, just play as many different sports as you can and see what happens. But yeah, above all else, enjoy what you're doing.
Enjoy what you're doing. Skipper, what would you be saying?
Yeah, definitely. Just work hard, and I think the more you enjoy what you're doing, like Sarah said, the more you'll want to work hard. But also at the same time, if you work hard, then the results will kind of show when you go out and play. And yeah, just drag your friends along and get them playing as well, and hopefully see some youngsters coming through in the next few years.
And concentrate on your studies. That's what Kathryn meant to add at the end there as well.
That's what I said. Studies are so important if you're a young person, but it's all about balance.
Yeah, you've got that balance. You've got that balance there to a T. And if you don't quite have it, you've got Sarah in the background who'll just nudge you back to your room when you're choosing to just wander a little bit and tell you to get back to your studies. Well, listen, girls, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I've never got the chance to speak to you and engage with you like this before. I look forward to seeing you on the cricket field and getting to see you play in person sometime. And the World Cup would be amazing to see you playing in the World Cup. So keep working hard and keep flying the flag for Scotland, and keep giving the English some tough times down there with the bat, because it's good to watch from afar.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us. It's been great to speak to you.
Cheers.